I'll change to broadcast mode now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you everyone for joining our Asia Business Talk Show this week. Let me introduce about Asia Business Talk Show. Asia Business Talk Show is the preferred platform for business owners, investors, regulators, and talents to drive constructive communication globally to solve latest business challenges together. So allow me to introduce today's panelists. Yi Hao, Senior Managing Partner of ACMF BOSR Consulting. Steve Barnes, Senior Managing Partner of ACMF Security and Risk Consulting. Nikki, Senior Managing Partners, ACMF Business Application. Jeremy, Senior Managing Partner of ACMF Corporate Services. Edward, Senior Managing Partners of ACMF Corporate Services. And Cyrus, Senior Managing Partner of ACMF Digital. Allow me to introduce the host or co-host of today. Is a Senior Managing Partner of ACMF Strategic Alliances. Louis, myself, is the Head of Global Strategy of ACMF Strategy and Growth. All the details of the speakers, panelists, hosts, and also the email can be found at facebook.com ACMF Group. So without further ado, allow me to introduce the first speaker, Jean, GM Tan, the Managing Partner of GM Tan and Company. Jean is an advocate and solicitor of the High Court of Malaya, barrister at law, registered trademark agent, compliance certificate, trademark agent. And his personal code is a lawyer bureau out and heart-based lawyers in. So the product and services of GM Tan and Company are debt collection, contract rights, employer and employee rights, trademark and defamation. And participants, please feel free to ask questions pertaining the topic in Zoom chat room. We will answer if we have enough time. So let's welcome Jean Tan. The topic today is how to survive the MCO in Malaysia if you are experiencing business, brand protection, debt recovery, employment, and IP legal issue. Over to you, Jean. I stop sharing now. You feel free to take over.
All right. Let me go to my page. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jean over here. Can you guys put your hands up or maybe type in the chat box if you guys can hear me? Everyone? Yeah? So everyone can hear me, yeah? If anyone cannot hear me, please let me know if you cannot hear me at all times, yeah? All right, thanks everyone, because I'm looking at the messages as well. So basically what we're gonna look at is this is a very, very important, very urgent topic right now. We're actually looking at a few things. Firstly, already, just to share again, this is my profile before we go into the sharing. So quick snippet, I've been in the business for about 13 years, more than 10 years in Malaysia and overseas. I was also working in the law firms and also giving legal advice to companies. So my background really and my passion is in helping companies. And with my firm right now, I'm actually doing the same thing, yeah? So basically, one of the companies that I actually represent, and one of the organizations I represent is the Malaysian-German Chamber of Commerce. With them, basically, I help various and diverse number of companies to handle crisis, normally in corporate and employment law. I've also dealt with debt recovery and IP. And as a result of this work with them, basically what I like to do is I like not to talk about going to court. I actually like to settle more. So I'm the kind of lawyer that actually likes to bring things together rather than basically go to court just for the sake of fighting out a dispute, yeah, where all parties will lose, okay? So I want to go into basically right now what we're looking at. As you can see, I think at 4 p.m., the Prime Minister will make an announcement. I think some of you right here are having suspicions what this announcement will be. Personally, I'm not going to speculate, but I know that many of his announcements and the stimulus packages are all dealing with basically, I would say at least the top worries that I'm sharing here. For us business owners and advisors and those who are in companies, I don't know if you noticed, but I think on my screen is that I purposely want to make it very easy. The words itself very easy because I want everyone to understand where I'm heading at. Yeah. So as you know, firstly, this is a global issue, and in Malaysia itself, actually for businessmen, whether they are in companies or actually operating companies as directors, there are these 4 main worries that they are actually dealing with right now. And if the lockdown extends until end of April, these 4 things will be actually at their forefront even more so. One, basically where we're talking about a lot of companies might even now consider to close their business. A lot of people have already been coming to me, both employees and employers, to talk about pay cuts. And then of course, some companies are talking to me about how to settle bills, how to negotiate. But the main thing, again, the worry is how to keep basically their business alive. So I will touch a little bit in the next 10 minutes about basically, without even saying that I'm touching about company and IP law, debt recovery law, employment law, and contract law. I'm the kind of lawyer, I don't like to be so legal jargon. I actually like to transfer and apply it to more layman terms. But unfortunately, right now, so just let you know, I'm sorry to be what you call it, a negative naysay, but I have no choice but to tell you what the law is. So as you can see on your left and right of the screen, one I purposely dealt with and compiled all the basically positions, traditional positions about business, companies, and contracts. That also includes IP, but IP at the moment, I don't think you hear a lot of people talking about their legal rights over their IP. Right now, you hear a lot of people talking about the fact they can't pay things, right? Or pay people. The second box you will see is people actually talking about issues they're facing with their employees or employers. So if you notice, I've highlighted in red certain points. On the left side, I've highlighted the fact that a lot of business owners right now are thinking of actually voluntarily closing their business because no new business. But unfortunately, under the law, under the Companies Act at least, you can't unless all debts are paid. In fact, an employee can technically stop a company from being voluntarily wind up. Also, another thing, a lot of people, believe it or not, don't know this. They all know that companies can be sued by creditors, but a lot of companies and business owners don't even know or don't even realize that they can actually be sued by their employees in a money claim that will actually stop them or restrict them from actually organizing themselves. So, of course, then the legal position about bills being paid, there's no law yet or nothing gazetted to say that, there's an automatic, deferment for private transactions. So basically what we're saying is that the law in terms of like Contracts Act, for example, says that if you want to change a contract or you want to even talk about, negotiating a position, all these things, mind you, a lot of Malaysian businessmen don't realize that they must be expressed clearly. They shouldn't be confusing. Actually, a number of businessmen and managers have already told me they have been communicating terminations via a WhatsApp. And I've been telling them that's not the way to go about it, because actually while e-messages are accepted, if your communication is confusing, unfortunately your termination will not be accepted. So I'll look a little bit about force majeure and frustration, because it's very important, because a lot of businessmen are right now wondering if they can apply basically a suspension of contract or deferment simply because of the lockdown period. So for the part on termination of the employee, basically I think you can see very clearly on the right side, all salaries must be paid in full Basically, there's no such thing, because I've been hearing from employers that employees are being forced. In fact, I've got a particular situation I've heard that the employer only basically bought chicken rice for the employees because basically it couldn't afford to actually pay their salaries. So it has actually gone pretty bad. Also, mind you, I purposely said that verbal terminations, WhatsApp, WeChat, SMS, they do make good court cases, and I do foresee, this is just my basically prediction. After the lockdown is lifted, once you go back to work, I see a spike in employment cases at court. So right now, terminations may not be the best fit. Yeah. Now, so these are my legal suggestions. Basically, what I look at is how do we settle, how do we work together rather than how do we tear things apart, how do we cut things, right? Like I told you, my style is pretty much following, the style of working together rather than going to court and just fighting a battle where parties may lose. I purposely put this slide in because I thought it's really important to give businessmen a sense that the legal way, sometimes, especially through court, may not be the best way. Right? Even courts have actually, some courts like family courts always try to, as much as possible, influence the parties to mediate and settle first. Yeah. So it's very important right now. I'm asking actually all of you involved, and I've been telling everybody who I've advised, please try and settle. Look at this as a way where you can work together with whoever you're in contract with, whether it's your staff or your creditor. See if you can get their support and cooperate with them to find middle ground, to save maybe not the relationship, but at least to basically save your interest as much as possible. Okay, I thought I'd talk a little bit about force majeure and contract frustration, because a lot of people have been asking me, about this topic. Actually, so let me just quickly explain in less than a minute what is force majeure, what is frustration. Okay. Well, basically, under those who do contracts, those who are involved in contracts, whether you have bought or sold a property, force majeure is basically another word, a legal word for the word act of God. Meaning when something, incident happens in your contract where basically it's beyond your control. And contract frustration is a legal word where basically it means that the contract cannot be performed anymore. Yeah, it's frustrating. Basically, the parties are not able to perform them anymore. So as you can see, they apply why I am talking about, because I've had a request to ask how do they apply and when does this circumstance apply to you during this lockdown period. So I purposely put down the grounds here because I thought it's just the opportunity to actually share this with you. So number one, basically you can only apply, right, a frustration contract, or basically suspend a contract due to these two grounds, if one, the facts and terms permit. Basically, the second thing is, right now, which a lot of these clauses don't cover, is government action, government national order, epidemic, pandemic, national lockdown, obviously because we've never had this before. So I can imagine, and I predict a lot of contracts will change this term to cover all these things. And also, mind you, a lot of these kind of clauses sometimes come with conditions as well. So do check your contract. If there's no precondition, there's no restriction requirements, and basically the facts do cover them, then I believe that force majeure or a frustration of the contract can happen. However, that's why I purposely put that end. If there are no terms, right, that actually can show you that there's another way to do this, like for example, a tenancy. A lot of landlords are actually talking about whether basically they can kick their tenants out because their tenants now cannot pay. Well, for us, and basically the law and how I believe courts will view it, is that no, you can't simply say that the contract is frustrated and you kick your tenant out simply because right now the tenant is not able to pay for a while, or at least for 1-2 months. You have to talk to your tenant, right? Because the law looks at, if it's frustrating, it means the contract cannot be performed at all, not temporary, right? The idea is that the effect of the performance must be total. It must not be part. It must not be temporary. And there must be no other option to go about this, yeah, than to terminate, yeah? So another thing I want to talk about is employment issues, because that is something that has also come out a lot. And basically, those who have come to me about sharing this kind of issues during this particular lockdown period, I'm sharing what I've been telling people and what I've been advising people. Yeah, this is just my preferred option. I have been advising those who have come to me with questions about redundancy and retrenchment. But I've been telling them, like, have you considered, right? Have you considered discussing a variation of their employment contract? Have you negotiated in an amicable fashion with your staff as to whether they are okay for basically their terms to be varied for a while? Maybe it could be their salary, right? Most of them will be normally the salary. Maybe it could be even performance of the contract. Maybe it could be even the contract being turned into, I don't know, for hourly basis. You never know. But the thing about mutual variation, and when you negotiate these things, a lot of companies don't realize you're not supposed to force your employees, right, to accept a pay cut. You're not supposed to force your employees or manipulate your employees to accept a change in their employment contracts. That would be very bad, because that will actually be a very good case for unfair dismissal, right? And right now we're looking at a lot of cases where, like I said, I have one particular case last week where apparently 3 employees of a global brand business in Malaysia actually were terminated by WhatsApp. And basically, unfortunately for one of the employees, what happened is that the employer texted her to terminate her by WhatsApp and then deleted the text, right? And then after that, before that, tried to force them to take a pay cut. All of this was done through WhatsApp. So I told her, well, unfortunately, if he is doing this to you, you better be prepared once the lockdown is over, because there'll be a lot of people going to the labor office after this, yeah? Which she accepted. But of course, I told her, please try and negotiate with your employer. If he's still very hard on and does not want to see reason, then no choice. Because mind you, right now, termination of an employment contract, if you don't do it right, you're looking at a very expensive compensation cost. Because if you don't terminate, unfortunately in Malaysia, if you don't terminate with just cause or using the correct principles, right, under the law, you can be punished, not say punished, but penalized by the court if it goes to court, or at least you're going to look at settling for a very heavy sum, which your company may not be able to afford. Yeah. So basically, I believe that my 10 minutes is up. I'm sorry, my 40 minutes is up. Louis, am I out of time, or is there more time still?
It's time for question and answer. Just panels. Any question from your side or any clarity you would like to add?
Yeah, I
Feel
have
free
a
to go
question
ahead.
here. This is Zihao. Question to Jean. You mentioned that the contract and all this stuff is a precautions, right? Now, as a generic term, at this dynamic change of scenario, do we have a quick standard guideline from the business owner here can do a self-assessment in terms of their brand protection, the debt recovery, and the employee issue they're facing? Thank you.
The short answer is yes, there is a quick one. But of course, because it's a legal matter, I am advising all people involved to please talk to a friendly lawyer who's willing to extend help to you. Why? Because there are actually, I am aware, but I'm not going to say who, there are a lot of companies, consultants that are actually saying that they can offer legal advice when under the law they're not authorized to do so, or they carry on the image that they are lawyers when they are not actually authorized to carry out that representation. So lawyers right now, a lot of lawyers are being very good, and they're offering these guidelines to people at hand. Like for example, what I shared earlier was one of the guidelines. Of course, I'm very comprehensive because distressed companies is my specialty. So I do have a long framework for all the issues, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and my opinion about getting legal advice from a lawyer is because it's not about the knowledge alone. It's that can we defend our right or limit our liability when the issue goes to court? That would be more important, because if it's not going to court or going to regulator, everyone can say everything. As long as you agree, that's fine. But when the thing goes to court, the time, how you get to protect yourself and enforce your right, then a lawyer will be needed actually.
Yes, Louis, I agree with you, but I want to take that one step further. You have to, let's say it's for employment issues, please go and speak to an experienced employment court lawyer, because it's a bit different. So going to employment court is actually, it's similar to going to a civil court, but there are a bit of like the culture involved. So when you get an experienced employment court lawyer speaking to you, he will know at the back of his hands, because he has already been experienced with the culture, he will know how to tell you a little bit about what the judge might say, right? Or basically what the labor office will do. So when the C get involved, like for example, I don't tell clients to come to me when they go to labor office, right? I tell them, okay, this is what you do, go to labor office, they'll take care of you, basically. Because I know for a fact that I'm not allowed in the meetings that the labor office or the IR office organizes. Lawyers are not allowed. So you don't want to get those kind of lawyers who just want to make a quick buck out of it and say like, okay, you know, hire me, I will go to the labor office, and you spend that money which you need right now, and realize they cannot go to the labor office for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I have just a critical concern here, because today the business condition is very different from the last two financial recession I come across, because I'm involved in 1999 and also 2008 business transformation. This round, actually, the challenges faced by business owners today or our client, they have three critical elements. One is the local market size shrinking because and become smaller, and the competition actually become more intensified, and even worse now because of online activities. So even overseas competitor can access to local market now. So there's second. The third one, because of these online business activities and because of COVID, movement control, lockdown, and circuit breaker. So actually the effective market size of the company, it become much larger now. So it means the company have to transform, at the same time grow, instead of control and shrink. Because this is a time you shrink, people will take over your market share just like that. So you cannot afford to shrink. So in order to do transformation and grow, the existing employees might need to change their job scope. But I believe most of them or some of them unwilling to do so. So how business owners can make sure this can be done effectively and quickly when they still have enough cash flow to operate the business, or before it's too late? Jean, what is your thought about this? It's a complicated issue actually we are facing today.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is that if you have an experienced business lawyer, they thrive on complications rather than shy away from it. I hope that I answer you correctly with this question, but basically the long story short, yeah, is that for right now, actually, I see the game is changing to one of collaboration. So it actually also involve the employees. And a lot of companies are also changing the way they actually have a relationship with the employees. So the fundamental rule actually is that don't deceive the authorities. Make sure that any change in your relationship with the employee is recorded in writing. Don't do it through, you know, handwritten one pager or on napkins, or like I said, for some reason everybody loves WhatsApp or WeChat or SMS. You know, I have dealt with salespeople and contract negotiators who do things over WeChat. You know, so it's terrible, really. You know, because what happens is that you confuse the person. To be frank with you, at first the person says that they're clear lah. Then maybe, you know, the years or rather months in the line, they have their friend look at what the message you send, and suddenly they have a different idea. And then honestly, you are left in the lurch. And then suddenly the companies who were supposed to benefit lose in the end because of one dispute. And as you know, right now, relationships are very, very fragile because a lot of people, I would say, are very frightened. So collaborations for me are the way to go. If there is a way to actually save the employee relationship, but at the same time, both of you can actually enlarge the market together, why not? But make sure that the change itself is recorded. And for some people, I believe it or not, some employees, I've actually spoken to a few employees who actually told me that they would not have mind taking a pay cut and even being terminated later if their boss spoke nicer to them. So I'm actually believing, I like to believe that there are people who are reasonable right now. Everybody understands with that, like the chances of a company taking advantage of you right now is a little bit less than before, because everybody knows that right now we're all suffering.
Yeah, and today, just go back to just now a question, just to add the situation. Because of the transformation of the business, some job function no longer needed. So what's your advice for the business owners? If some of the jobs already no longer needed, how can they do separation, voluntary or even by force? I'm not too sure what is the right thing to do. Even sometimes you talk, it still not happen, but then you cannot continue to feed the job position that's no longer create value for the company. Then everybody will out of job once the company fail. So then everybody go home without a job.
Yeah, I get it. Sorry, Louis, go on.
Yeah, so for some job function is no longer needed. So what is the legally or diplomatically right manner to carry out effectively from your point of view? Of course, I think it's a complicated, so I don't think there's any perfect solution. Yeah, over to you, Jin.
This one, you are tugging at my employment practice. So basically, the long story cut short is you're looking at already retrenchment already. You're going into the world of retrenchment already, because the little points already that you mentioned, or at least that I grabbed from you, were things like, job function not needed. So that's one of the things. That's one of the factors, or rather one of the basis that people retrench staff, okay? But having said that, when you look at retrenchment, firstly, some business owners who have an idea of retrenchment laws have the wrong idea that it applies to all staff. It does not. The retrenchment laws that currently exist in Malaysia only apply to manual laborers. That one is where you don't have to look at the salary. As long as they're manual laborers, meaning like, construction worker, yeah. So people, it's jobs that use your hand, then yeah, the termination and layoff regulations apply to them. Otherwise, it's basically the low income earners. That means income earners below 2K. So at the moment, we don't have an actual systematic law for those above 2K, but what we have is a code, which a lot of people, a lot of lawyers and also a lot of consultants, HR consultants are looking at, but it's a code, right? So it's more like, it's not a law, but it's more influencing, right? And it has been used also to retrenchment exercise publicly and as a practice. So one of it is, of course, when you talk about not just the job function don't exist, but voluntary salary adjustment, yeah? So firstly, you're looking at, anytime you look at retrenchment, you got to unfortunately see if the person is a foreigner. One of the things is whether the person is a foreigner or is a local person. Because under the retrenchment, one of the process and the key list, yeah, is that you must make sure that you don't terminate a foreigner you don't terminate a local over a foreigner. So the local has to stay over the foreigner, right? Because the idea is obviously protect our own, right? So that's one, yeah. And when you talk about job function, is it a necessity? Do you have basis? I actually take the view that right now, if at all you can show, right, that your company is genuinely and financially impacted by the lockdown, or at least by the MCO, then yes, I think you can go around that. But having said that, you must be very mindful. Right now, it's not a situation where termination will be, or retrenchment will be so easily accepted, unlike last time, yeah? And the voluntary separation that you mentioned is called, in the actual legal term, is called Voluntary Separation Scheme, VSS, or another word for it is Mutual Separation Agreement or Mutual Separation Scheme, MSS. So that you would have heard if a lot of you are involved in banks and have read the news. Banks practice this quite a bit when they go through their retrenchment exercise. So usually a package is awarded, or not awarded, is proposed. And again, unfortunately, VSS and MSS, as the word suggests, it must be made on a purely consensual basis. So you can't simply say that, I'm going to force you into it. Even if it's voluntary salary adjustment, it must come out of free will. So the word is free will, and there's no coercion from the employee, not from the employer, right? So if the employee basically volunteers and say, hey, you know what, I want to keep my job, but I'm willing to take a pay cut. I don't want to lose my job because I know my function doesn't exist or my department doesn't exist, then that is actually allowed, if the employer also is looking at that option. So it's a two-way street lah, when it comes to it right now.
Yeah, thank you, Jean, because thanks for, thank you very much for Jean for your session. And please feel free to reach out to Jean directly if you have more question or that. Jean's email, you can go to the facebook.com ACMF group to retrieve Jean's email and contact him directly, because I see that there are many questions reached to a chat group and also through us directly. Sorry because we lack of time here, so we need to go to the second presenter. Let me share my screen.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Jean. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean. Very informative.
Thank you.
So we would like to do a short poll just to assess and allow us to continue to improve in the future. Please feel free to go ahead to take the poll before we go to the next session. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to continue by introduce the next speaker. So the next speakers probably an end poll now, so you can see. The next speakers are Ki-Zun and Yin Hai. They are the senior managing partner of ACMF Human Capital. Yin Hai is from this Bachelor of and also Business Management from McMaster University, Canada, and a certified trainer of Human Resource Development Fund and certified WISE Method Facilitator. Yin Hai also alumnus of Money and You, Entrepreneur Action Program, Wealth Dynamics, Essence of Being, Seeds Leadership, Spirits of Greatness, Facilitator Development Program, and Power Play. And Ki-Zun has his computer science from multimedia from University Putra Malaysia, certified trainer of Human Resource Development Fund, certified WISE Method Facilitator, also alumnus of Money and You, Wealth Dynamic, Essence of Being, Seeds Leadership, Facilitator Development Program, Frontier Trainings, Business Brilliance, and So Heaven. So products and services of ACMF Human Capital are complete human capital optimization program. Team performance optimization program means coaching, consulting, advisory, and training, and leadership management coaching, culture creation, and team dynamic improvement, purpose and result driven team building. And feel free to ask questions pertaining to the topics in Zoom chat room. We will answer you if we have enough time. So let's welcome Kizun and Ginhai about the topic, you and your dream team, how to handle tough situation. Let me stop sharing my side, then you proceed to share your screen.
All right, thank you, Luis. So Kisun and myself are going to talk today about you and your team, how to handle the tough situations. So we're going to go through an overview of what happens when, from a human perspective, when businesses face difficult, challenging situations, and what you as a business owner can do to manage the situation with your team. We will provide specific strategies because each business will have a different situation. However, what we cover today will give you an idea of what to do, especially very timely that what Jean spoke about maintaining the relationship between the employer and the employees so that you can come to agreement rather than wanting to force through things from a legal standpoint, so that you don't have to worry so much about being sued and things like that. Yeah. So also, what we're sharing today is more about the immediate situation. Of course, subsequently, when the MCO is over and all that, then there's different things that is needed to be done from a human capital standpoint. So anybody would like more specific information or guidance, reach out to us at the end. We'll be more than happy to do that. So the current situation, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the subsequent lockdown, as everybody knows, many businesses slowed down tremendously, even seeing revenue come to a complete stop. So from some businesses, survival is a question mark. Yeah? Their livelihoods, the well-being of they themselves and their loved ones is under threat. Many political leaders and business analysts have said these are unprecedented times. We've never seen across the world all the markets dropping like this. People are really struggling and afraid. And so in a situation like that, when they're faced with threat or uncertainty, people's common reactions are I think many of us have seen. Panelists, what kind of reactions have you seen from people as they've seen what's happening and realize what it might mean for their businesses and things like that? You can just get a couple of panelists to share what you've seen from the various business owners that you deal with. Maybe Steve or Yihao, anybody?
They are frustrated, clueless. I think we tend to be a tendency of depress some of them. That's what I've observed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a
So
lot wish they'd started their e-commerce process a lot earlier.
Yeah. So there's a general range of reactions that we've seen from people, both from employer side and employee side. So we can just go through some of the most common reactions. The first one is going into denial. They don't want to accept the reality that their business survival is threatened. Some of them like, yeah, after this I'll be okay. And especially from the employee side, they're like, the employees, they just want to have their normal salaries. So they're in denial that the business potentially can close down. If you've seen some of the announcements from some of the trade unions and stuff like that, they're just very much focused on, I want to get my salary, that's all. There's no real concern about how the business is going to survive. Yeah?
Yep, so the second one be fight or flight. So which is a chemical response. So this is like a heightened emotion when people feel fear of what's going to happen to us. Therefore, people start, panic buying, and maybe they have a rumor going around. And also anger. So anger is like, hostility and argument about work and the pay arrangements. They start blaming each other. So not only this happen to employers and employees, but also happen between husband, wife, and also in the family.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, one of the other ones is clinging to known, want to keep doing the same thing. So not wanting to change the business model or look for creative solutions or change the way that they are doing their job, the scope of their job, because they have fear of the unknown or fear of failure. So you can see from this picture, this is actually very apt, similarly to what's happening at metaphor, because many of them, they are hanging on, even though if they could just let go, maybe they can move forward. But because they're holding on to that, they're stuck where they are. Yeah?
Yep. So, and also people, trying to look for a perception of control, which means they do things that they can control, although they may not solve a bigger issue. Example, making videos. It's actually helping the business currently in this situation. And someone like just now, like what Jean said, some people may start to firing their stuff. But the thing is, is it necessary, and what happens when the business goes back to normal?
Yeah, because in situations like that, like they're making the videos, but it's something that is needed to be done. It's the most important to do at this time. Or firing staff, when this is back to normal, then you're suddenly short-handed and you start hiring again, right? So does it actually make sense? What they just want to control something. Now, another reaction is to look for safety. They actually become like children looking to parents for solutions, because nobody wants to make the decision, nobody wants to take the responsibility. So what happens is the employees will then look to the boss for the answers. And where do the bosses look? The bosses look to the governments for solutions. Yeah, but nobody wants to take the decision.
Yep. So finally, people also will feel suspicion, trust, right? The trust is not there. So there's so employee is not willing to trust the intention of employers. They are not willing to work together, and also they're not willing to accept the changes that are suggested by employers. And perhaps employers also will question the loyalty and the capabilities of employees and thinking, to fire them. So thing is that because of a thing happened that not supposed to happen, and now it's very hard to trust and believe in people and also all the things that happen around. Okay. So the thing is, it's actually okay, it's okay to feel not okay. It's okay to feel negativity, to react negative way, because this is a very human thing, right? This is very normal. And in fact, it's our survival instinct that keep us feeling safe when we are in danger. So the thing is, the only danger is if everyone, continue to stuck and continue to react in a very negative way, what would the result be like in 3 to 6 months down the road?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so imagine what kind of decisions would be made from that kind of state, from the state of fear, suspicion, denial. Is that the best way to make decisions, the best state to be in when you make decisions for the future of the business and for the whole team? So in fact, then what's the better state to be in then in order to make decisions? Yeah, so obviously you want to be calm. You don't want to be emotional when you make decisions. I think many people have experienced making decisions when you're emotional and after that you regret it, right? Just like, oh, what was I thinking? How come I could decide like that? Yeah, and also we want to be responsible, come from a state of responsibility. Kizu was explaining more about
Yeah, so when we talk about responsibility, our definition of a responsible is we come from not blaming, not shaming and guilting others and also ourselves when the unpleasant things happen. All right, instead we look at what we did in the past to create the results today. So as well as what we can do about the situation. All right, so when we talk about responsibility, we take as a responsibility, then we are able to quickly move on instead of dwelling in the past.
Yeah, and of course you want to be positive, but you need to be realistic. So you want to be positive yet be pragmatic, not just wishful thinking, not just, oh, I think things are going to be okay. That is actually denial, right? So what you want to do is realistic about it, be positive and take action.
Right. The last one would be the problem solving. So now we're going to look at how we can focus on the problem solving instead of focusing on the problem itself, so that we can move on quickly. Okay. So how to get there, right? So the next thing is we are going to talk about what we can do in order to move forward. Okay, so as a business owner, we must have a correct mindset and also the emotional states, right? We have to be okay, right? So the first thing is we have to acknowledge our reaction. Like just now we talk about a negative emotion, all these things, and we have to actually come to terms with what's happening at this moment, and perhaps also write down what is the worst case scenario that could happen. And when you know that this is going to happen, then we can do something, right? And this is only possible, like the worst case could only possible if we decided not to take any action at all. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So then in order to focus on, to get out of the fear and the anger and all those negative emotions, you focus on gratitude. Focus on gratitude for what didn't go wrong, for what we still have. Okay? So for example, we're still not sick, we still have food to eat, we don't have to pay the house loan or car loan thanks to the government, the family and members are still together with us, still in good health, and we make the decision that the worst case is not what we want, so we have a possibility of moving forward. So we're grateful that there is still hope. It's not totally cannot move on yet. Okay. Kizun?
And also, we also can start focusing on what can be done, and just now you say before, what can be controlled, and not what we cannot control or what we cannot change, right? For example, not thinking about if only we had, right? Or stuck with what's going to happen. So the important thing is to stay present at what can be done at this very moment to help us to move forward.
Yeah, exactly. Like what Steve said just now, some of them like, I wish I had started my e-commerce earlier. Well, I wish it's not going to solve the situation. What can we do now? All right.
That's right.
So, yeah. So once the business owner is okay, then the next step is getting things sorted with the team, helping the employees to calm down and start getting to a better mindset and emotional state. So as like Jean said just now, we can start coming to agreement, working together to see how we can move forward as a whole team. Yeah. So just now to check in with the panelists, if you were an employee in this kind of situation right now, what would you want to see from your employer? How would you want your employer to be? Panelists, if you were...
I think the main thing you'd want is honest, straightforward, explain the situation. Otherwise, it's very easy to assume that the employer has lots of money in the bank, they're fine, and that they're just going to cut salaries or lay people off just to save their own money. So I think having a proper conversation is probably very important.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this perception from most employees that the boss makes a ton of money, right? Just taking advantage of them. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Can I say something?
Yep.
Jin, yeah.
Right. From my experiences lately, the last couple of weeks as a lawyer, especially, I have noticed one very interesting phenomena. I feel that the lockdown is actually asking and demanding us business people and corporates to actually be more humble and human. It's very, very interesting because those days you can, treat your staff, or, a lot of companies treat their staff, just whip out their hand and just throw orders and whatnot, But it's very short period, and I've seen how a situation can really change just by an attitude change. So when managers are actually able to be you can tell, in your voice whether the manager is being fake or humble. You'll be very surprised what the employees will actually cooperate or agree to. You'll be very surprised.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's just what I want to share. Yeah.
Thank you, Jin.
Absolutely. So that's why what's required in this stage to get things sorted with the team is, first of all,
so
as leadership and communication and engagement, absolutely, as both of you said, So in terms of leadership, what we're going to talk about is...
so leadership, like just now what Jin said, sometimes now things change, and it's time to really enhance our so-called the way we understand or our capability about leadership, right? The first thing we talk about is empathy. So empathy is to understand that everyone may not be in a good state, especially at this moment, be it mentally, physically, also emotionally, and also financially as well. And be okay with it, right? Be okay with everyone is not okay at this moment, and perhaps it's not the time to be very defensive or to lecture, people around us.
Yeah. So the next thing is also, as a leader, you want to care about your employees, want the best for them, be concerned about their health, their families. What are you doing to take care of them, right? Care about them. That's going to change how they're going to relate to you.
Right, lead. So how does a leader lead, right? So the leader lead by not demanding the employees or giving order, giving instructions, but unite them. No, like now we are in this together. We are going to go through this together.
Yeah, and of course, the leader needs to give them hope. At a time like this, your team needs an inspirational leader who can give them hope. Yeah, so you don't give them false promises. Let them know the situation exactly as Steve said. But then it's important to be well mentally, emotionally, and then you can work together and say, we will figure this out together. We can do it. Yeah.
Right. So next, we are going to talk about how to get things sorted out by communicating and also engaging, right? So it's very important. So the first thing we want to do is to hear them out, right? To hear them out, to be ready to listen to them without judgment and coming from a space of like the song we say, empathy and care. And the second one, we understand their situation again from a space of empathy and care.
Okay, and of course you want to be honest and open. So honest about the company situation, including the possible impact to the future sales and revenue, examples of possible actions that might have to be taken, and what might the associated impacts know. So this lets them know you have really thought about it and you understand the consequences. However, it's not set in stone. These are some of the things that you have already thought of, and these may not be the best. That's why you're coming to them to talk to them, and that you're open to suggestions that might be better for everyone. Okay.
So the next one is let them know what have you done so far, right? Including forego your own salary, perks, top up salaries for last few months by dipping into your own reserves.
Yeah, absolutely. Some business owners have actually done this, but the employees don't know it. And it totally changes the picture and how they look at it if they know that you've taken out your own savings and not taken your salary, but you've paid salaries through your own personal cash, right? Yeah. And so what you want to do after that is to work together with them to come up with solutions, brainstorm, acknowledge the suggestions or point of views, see what you can pick up together. And it may be at the end of the day, it is your idea that still is implemented, but because they've been involved in that discussion, now they're going to buy in more into it.
Yep. So the regular and very consistent and two-way communication become a very important thing, right? So all these things has to be very regularly being communicated, so that there's a less so-called the suspicion going on. They would have a more trust in this way.
Yeah, and this is actually how we manage crisis. Actually, if you remember the MH370 cases and stuff like that, this is what they did. They acknowledged, they heard people, they understood, they were honest and open about it. They told people what they've done so far. They wanted to work together with the government and the army and whoever to come out solutions. And they're regular, very consistent communication, so people don't wonder what's happening. Yeah. So of course, in this type of situation, what is required is to stay strong. Yeah, both you, your management team, and also the rest of the employees as well. Everybody has to stay strong, because the better your well-being is, the better you're able to handle the stress and things like that, and therefore there's less emotion. Yeah? So physical activity will actually produce endorphins, which reduce pain and increase euphoria. So you still want to get some exercise at this point in time. Get some sunlight and fresh air. Everybody feels better just going outside for even on the balcony and just take a deep breath. Yeah. Especially now the air is so much better. Yeah, and of course a healthy diet. If you are eating just bread or eating junk food, then it's not going to make you feel very good. Okay.
Yeah. So lastly, we talk about the personal space, time to recharge, right? So those include your meditation. So because meditation, you increase the serotonin, regular emotion, better focus, and better sleep. and you can do your reading as well. You can do your music, listen to your music if you like music. Just now we talk about the great, feel grateful, all these things. So you can do your daily gratitude journal, and you also can do some good deeds because that creates oxytocin. That when you do things, you do good things, especially then you feel you're happier. Yeah. So your well-being and reduce the anxiety as well in that case. And you can even do your exercise, like just now what Gina said. So in your own space, then perhaps that also make you feel better. Lastly, it's a connection, right? Where it's a purely to be with people, not like connect to work, but as a to talk, to just be okay and just feel relaxed and free to talk about anything else. All right, and also you can do some playing with your kids as well.
Yeah. So in conclusion, it's normal to react, but to get through it effectively, you get over it, and then it's get calm and respond. So you be in the right mindset and emotional state. And after that, you want to get things sorted through leadership and communication. And we talked about empathy and being honest and open, things like that, and regular communication. And last of all, everybody taking care of their well-being. This will allow the whole team to get through this period better. Yeah. So that's a little bit of our sharing of how to cope with a crisis situation. Okay, thank you. Back to you,
Thank you.
Luis.
Yeah. Any question from the panelists?
Jean, can you unmute
I have
yourself?
a question.
Yeah.
Okay. For basically Jinhan or we basically, why is now the emotional factor? Because you're talking about empathy. These are all kinds of emotional wisdom. So why is emotional wisdom so important for the human capital during this particular crisis period?
Yeah, as we talked about, if without that emotional wisdom, tempers are going to flare. People are going to get, that's fight or flight instinct will come up, and then it's very hard to come to agreements. People will say things that they regret or make decisions that are not in their best interest because at that point the emotions are high, the hormones are influencing them.
Yeah, so that become the intelligence become low, right? I'm not sure you heard before, like emotion is high, the intelligence become very low, and that's when we not making a very sensible decision that may hurt your business and your relationship with other people as well.
Yeah, I learned about that as well because when the emotion is too aggressive, the amygdala brain become aggressive. That is a primitive brain. Then they will hijack the cerebral cortex, the creative brain, from functioning. So that's why calm is important to allow cerebral cortex, the creative brain, to be active and solve problem.
Right.
Yeah, thank you, Luis, for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I have a question to Ginha and Kizun as well, because just now talk about the latest condition that business transformation is unavoidable, and we do need a team to come together to make sure we can pull through. And I understand team building also one of the strengths of you guys. So now, given that the lockdown, and I'm not too sure is the national movement control going to extend further. I saw someone say the 28th of this month.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's
too sure. I need to
confirmed
verify.
28th of April. Confirmed.
Oh my, okay.
I just saw the news.
It must be done for goodness for everybody, or so safety,
Yeah.
because of thing. Of course, I'm not a professional, can comment anything good and bad, but take this as the decision made already. So is anything that online training or online team building to create bonding that you guys have, anything like that? Because how to continue to have bonding if let's say you cannot see each other for so long?
Absolutely. You can use the video conferencing tools to run trainings, things like that. I mean, we are all gathered here, right? I think there's like 60 of us here at this moment. Now, of course, this is in a webinar format, but if it was in open format, we could actually be having discussions, breakout rooms. So a training and a team building kind of session is quite viable. Obviously, we wouldn't do a whole day because sitting in front of the screen for more than 3-4 hours is quite taxing, but you can be broken up into several segments, and we can definitely do things more than just bonding. For example, we can work on communication skills, deeper understanding of each other, understanding personalities, strengths, weaknesses, leadership skills, how to work together and and how to do brainstorming, creative problems. So all sorts of things can still be done at this time, and to help them to come together better and align themselves in terms of how to move forward. Yeah.
Right.
I have a question to Ging Hai. Especially this scenario right now, we just mentioned that the MCO have been extended another 2 weeks. Now, based on my observation for these few weeks, there are two different extreme scenario. One is that the employee, they are work from home. The hours they work from home is actually much more longer than compared to last time. Average actually, I would imagine, is more than 12 hours. Perhaps some of those is even up to 16 hours per day. That's what I heard. And on the other hand, some of the employee, they might not evolve to the work from home. They are very relaxed. So now this scenario as an employer, how do we help them on these conjunctions? Thank you.
Okay, so I think first we address the issue of those who are working very long hours. I think as an employer, we acknowledge that even for ourselves also, we find ourselves more productive when we don't have to go out because it doesn't interrupt our focus. And so for them also the same thing there. These type of people typically are the ones who they feel very accomplished when they get things done. So like they're clearing the work, all the backlog, and they feel very happy. But of course, we have to remind them, as what we talked about just now, to take care of their well-being. Yeah, their physical, their mental, emotional. You know, for some of them, if they have families, reconnect back with their families as well. Take this opportunity, because after this, honestly, if things go back to normal, they may not have this opportunity. It may be longer hours at work again. So definitely to take care of their well-being, and they will appreciate that. The employees will definitely appreciate an employee who is concerned about their well-being. Yeah, so maybe set that, yeah. So
thank you very much. Because the time's a bit short already. Actually, I agree with Ginha and Kizun that in order to transform using force and instruction and all that, it won't really work. Especially, you need to transform the company to be a globalized and more competitive. As a result, talents are needed. Then if you need to keep the talents by force, is a very bad idea, because these are people and easily look for a new job or new opportunity. So allow me to share my screen here. We'd like to send a second poll so that we can continue to improve ourselves. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we do not have time for question this round, because thanks for the discussion just now, and there's an announcement. Let me. Okay, so thanks for today's Asia Business Talk Show. Will be uploaded to YouTube, and If anyone keen to be the speaker in Asia Business Talk Show to share your passion, also to solve the latest business problem, feel free to send your profile or contact us at abts@acmfgroup.com. Thank you very much and see you next Friday, 3:30, same time actually. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. See ya.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. See you.
Everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.